Hello and Namaste. I am Ketan Kang from 192 Consulting. Right at the beginning of the series of these videos, we had mentioned the object or the intent of coming up with this series, and I'll repeat the intent in this video. So the objective behind coming up with these videos or the series of these videos was that to bring in awareness among the investors about various aspects of reclaiming the shares either from the company RTA or from the Investor Education and Protection Fund Authority. Through these videos, we seek to bring some kind of ease for the investors to navigate through the cumbersome and time-taking procedures that are required to reclaim their own rightful investments. Over a period, since we have started coming up with these videos, there are certain investors who come up with their questions, and in this particular video or the upcoming few videos, we will be addressing or we will be answering some of the questions which the investors have asked us through emails or by various means. One such question that we will be addressing in this video is the challenges faced by the investors in claim approvals after e-verification report has been filed and approved, recommended by the nodal officer of the company. Now, typically what happens is when an investor files the IEPFA 5, the nodal officer of the company files e-verification report subsequent to the documents being received from the investor, and the nodal officer, this e-verification report is again an electronic form which is filed by the nodal officer to the Investor Education and Protection Fund Authority. The nodal officer has to assign his digital signature and mention his PAN on the e-verification report that is to be filed. Point number 8 of this e-verification report specifically mentions whether the nodal officer of the company recommends the claim to be approved or rejected on his part. Once the claim is recommended to be approved, it is imperative, it is mandatory for the nodal officers to provide the copy of that e-verification report to the investors. Investors can go through that e-verification report. And now the e-verification report clearly mentions that whether the nodal officer has recommended the claim to be approved or rejected. If an investor reads that the claim is recommended to be approved, that investor has to keep in his mind that does not mean that Investor Education and Protection Fund Authority will compulsorily approve that claim. No. The IEPFA has different set of parameters to look after for, even though the nodal officer has approved the claim or has recommended the claim to be approved. Investors should not go in this predetermined mindset that if the claim has been or if the claim has been recommended to be approved, it will compulsorily be approved by the IEPFA. The report clearly states that whether the claim is recommended to be approved or rejected, and then the nodal officer has to click either on the approved button or the rejected button. There is a difference. The approving authority is the IEPFA and the recommending agency is the nodal officer of the company who has issued the shares of, to the investor. The difference between the recommendation of the approval and actual approval and what challenges can investors face in this space is the subject matter of this video. So, the first challenge that the investor may face is that there may be difference in the name on the records of the bank, demat account and the company. So we have considered this aspect in one of our earlier videos, yet I am repeating because at the company's end, the investor has cleared everything, yet the IEPFA has come up with the discrepancy. Investor will have to address this discrepancy and then provide it to the nodal officer of the company, and the nodal officer will again have to file an e-verification report. Now, that e-verification report, even though it is being recommended to be approved, the claim, the second challenge that can come into this is the difference in recording the address of the claimant. Now, suppose the address of the claimant is recorded in a different manner on the records of the company and it is recorded in a different manner on the bank account, even though the residential place or even the address is the same and there is difference in the spellings or there is difference in the mentioning of the sequence of the address, then also the claim might get rejected. Third very important thing is that recording of the details on the client master list. Now, what is client master list? We have already seen in the earlier videos. We are not going to repeat it. I request the investors to refer to one of our earlier videos to get clarity on the concept and document of client master list. So this client master list contains the name of the investor or the claimant, joint holder if any, then the address and the details of the bank account which is mapped with the demat account. If there is any kind of difference between recording these details and the details that are recorded on the company, even though the e-verification the report has been approved, the IEPFA will send back the claim to address the discrepancies or it will reject. I'll come back to my earlier advice. I request or advise the investors to get their KYC streamlined in such a way that there is no difference in mentioning or recording either of the details across the bank, demat account and company's records. That's the only solution to overcome the challenges after an approved e-verification report has been filed and the claim approved. If you have any query regarding the approval of the claims, transmission, transposition or transfer of shares, dematerialization of shares, reclaiming of shares either from the company or IEPFA, I request investors can please feel free to contact us. We can be contacted by writing a comment on the comment section of this video or writing an email to us. You can write an email to us on info@192.in. Till the time, this is Ketan Kang signing off. Thank you so much.